Some of those things we look back on and we say when we were children, we acted like children. So, but one day we looked in the mirror and we weren't children anymore. And so we had to grow up. But it was the conditions that caused us to grow up, because it wasn't like when we lived here, we left a white world that hated us going into a white world that loved us. We went to a white world that hated us to a white world that hated us even more. And the reason why they hated us even more was because we were coming to take something back that had been taken from us. A lot of times when we look at what we call Israel, because we don't understand the geopolitics of Israel, we don't understand that Israel is one part of what is termed the Holy Lands, not the Holy Land. When we use the Holy Land, we're not really in the proper context, because it's the Holy Lands. There's about 24 some nations that make up the Holy Lands from the Euphrates, Iran, Turkey, Iraq, all the way down to the Blue Nile and the White Nile, going into Uganda, where the Nile goes into Lake Victoria. So it's 24 nations, the Holy Land. So we chose Israel. And if you remember, Israel was not really a state until 48. So a lot of people, when we say we went back to Israel and we knew that's where we were supposed to go, they didn't really understand how we were processing that. Because we were going back to the Holy Lands, and one of the Holy Lands was Israel. And when we looked at Israel, because we did have some order about us from a revolutionary perspective, and so we knew that we were going to take Israel, and we said we were taking Israel back, but we were talking about the Holy Lands, and using Israel as the central marker. Are y'all following me?
Yeah.
Because we're only now really being able to tell these stories, the story of this 50 years of the road. And good to see y'all.
Thank you.
Family.
Good to be seen.
The road the road never traveled. And we really got to get that it was a road never traveled. So we had to make a road. And so everybody who participated, whether it's pro or con, were part of the development of what we call the Kingdom of Yah. And we didn't start out as the Kingdom of Yah. We started out as the Black Hebrews, the Hebrew Israelites, and then we morphed. And as time went on, as we began to grow and develop, we settled on the African Hebrew Israelite nation of Jerusalem. And today, people call us by their name, which that within itself denotes the victory. Though as time goes on, we're going to share with you some of the other victories that we haven't been able to share because it was hard to share when you were at war. And our people didn't know how intense that warfare was, because we fought all the security services. CIA, FBI, Interpol, MI5, the Mossad, even the postal police. They were in on it. And so when we begin to tell these stories, the army that was arrayed against us, we were getting hit from all over the world. But we were all over the world doing what we needed to do to build and secure a place for ourselves and our posterity. And so in this 50-year Jubilee, it's been hard. I've been working for 10 years to get people to understand that we need to be celebrating. It wasn't until about 3 years ago I made a breakthrough. I've been saying it for 10 years that I made a little breakthrough, and then some of my peers began to speak in terms of celebrating. And one of the major things that we're celebrating is growing up, because we had a very, very special mission. As you remember, we started out as the Black Hebrews. And so we morphed into the African Hebrew Israelite nation of Jerusalem, but at some point, we had to stop thinking black. Because the problem with thinking black is that you create the same thing that you're asking other people not to do. You create a bias. So we say we black people, but the problem, the historical problem has been that since what we call racism based on color, that didn't show up to the 1400s. And Europeans now wield that power relative to skin. And we're saying there was no land called black land. You know, there was no culture called black culture. And the problem that we have in America today is we have no discernible culture. Because we're either borrowing from other people or we're participating in the construct of the people that have enslaved us. So what I want to do is I want to share a little something with you, because I made a little list, and I want y'all to hear this list. And say when the Indians met the white man, they came up with the terminology that the white man speak with the forked tongue.
Teach, go ahead.
Right?
Yes, sir.
So, and this is totally relative to how we view ourselves, how we view the world that we live in, because our Achilles heel is that if a black person says something, he got to prove it. And if he can't prove it from a white source, then it's not taken seriously by his own people. So I just made a little list, just, you know, off the cuff kind of list with some things on it. So there's the white man speak with forked tongue. There's the small handwriting on contracts. And then the contracts are so long that you just wind up signing the document. You don't know what you're signing because they made it small enough that you wouldn't want to read it. And they made it long enough that you get tired of reading it. Let's go back. India said, white man speak with forked tongue. And we're contextualizing everything these days by what white people say. We're going to get their education, their indoctrination, and then we're trying to substantiate who we are to their information. Now, therein lies a major problem. So, the hidden fees, and I'm saying these things to you because you've experienced them in certain aspects. I don't really need to go into them like that, but the hidden fees and everything. You think you're paying for something, you go with your money, and then you find out you need just a little bit more money. The fact that in the Eurocentric world, you have to pay for water. Now, I can sort of understand paying for electricity to some extent because of the infrastructure necessary to deliver electricity. But water is a God-given right. But in this world, you have to pay for your water. And if you don't pay for your water, what do? They cut it off. So we're looking at contradictions, paradoxes, the cliches, all of those things that make white supremacy the rule of the day.
Yes, sir. Talk about it.
So we're talking about they are rich and you are poor. Yeah. But they flaunt people who they have allowed to make money.
Yes, sir.
Because they run balls or they hit balls or they sing well, or play an instrument well. And so they're allowed to make money, and then they'll tell you, well, there are some rich black people, but per capita, there ain't no rich black people. And the things you have to come to terms with, and this is part of my list, they turn the electricity off. Where is your money?
Great point.
And all the people that they say they have money, who are putting money, or have been putting money in their mattresses, the people know where the money is. Because the money has numbers on it. They know where they ship the money. They can tell you, they can look up the numbers and tell you where these denominations are. As a matter of fact, they know that most people, when they accumulate money and they hide it in their house, it's in denominations of $50 or $100. So it's easy for them to figure it out. I had a conversation, I was teaching a class one day, and I was talking about weapons of mass destruction. Because everybody thinks that weapons of mass destruction are guns and bombs. So I asked the crowd, I said, how many of you brush your teeth every day? It was everybody. I said, well, how many of you brush your teeth with Crest or Pepsodent or those types of toothpastes? And everybody raised their hand. And I said, well, how many of you know that fluoride is in the toothpaste? And everybody raised their hand. I said, well, how many of you know that fluoride is a poison? The hands didn't really go up like that. So I had my partner define fluoride. Crenshaw said, yeah. Great to see you, Cox and Mayor. So, by the time we finished with what I was trying to deliver, then they all knew that fluoride was a poison. So then I said, in whose best interest is it that 350 million people are waking up every day brushing their teeth with a poison?
Talk about it. Talk about it.
Now, I'm asking, you don't see that as a weapon of mass destruction? Let alone chemtrails that with the aluminum, the compounds of aluminum and barium, the aluminum negates magnesium in the soil. And those of you who have some idea of mineralization, that kind of thing, you know that magnesium is needed to help translate soil, seed to the plant to the consumer, and then the distribution of the minerals to the various organs. So now if you negate the magnesium, then the problem becomes you're under-mineralized from one main mineral. And so, is that a weapon of mass destruction? So we're talking about polluted water, polluted air. Right now, the ocean, pH balance, you have to factor in what they call polymers. So there's no ocean without polymers. And for those who don't know what polymers are, they're plastics. That means that the ocean, when you speak of the ocean, you're speaking of an ocean made up of plastics. Not just salt water and life, but plastics. The fishing industry, the philosophy of the fishing industry internationally is to fish till there are no fish in the sea. Now you can look all this stuff up. And so, subsequently, they have huge refrigeration facilities all over the planet with frozen seafood. And they're just awaiting the time that they can fish till you can't fish no more. Now, seafood. Now, if you eat seafood, the problem is you're eating waste and you're eating parasites. So a lot of people, when you see them walking bent over, their core is being broken down because of the consumption of parasites that get rid of the good bacteria that's supposed to be sitting in there. So you're talking about an illness waiting to happen. Lack of energy, all of these things, lead in the water, all of that. So I had a whole list, about 50 things. But it was to make a point. If you know this, you know these things, and you look at them from a cumulative perspective, then why would you believe in a white man? Why would you? If he's doing all of this, compounded, if he's doing all of this. So, if we look at the reality, most people think in terms of God and Satan, or God and the devil. Right? Most people. So if you ask them what is God, and the nature of God, and they'll say, good, right? But if you ask them about the devil, they'll say bad, right? Now let's just look at that for a second. So now, is the system we live in good or bad? That's not rhetorical. I'm waiting on the answer. Bad. I can't hear y'all. Bad. So it's bad. So I'm just trying to figure it out. Is the system we live in good or bad? Bad. And you know it. So then, if it's bad, does that come under God or Satan? Satan. Well, then if it comes under Satan, then it's bad. Why would you believe in the white man? Or the white man's world? Why? Now, if it's bad, that means that everything leads to life, or everything leads to death. It's not rhetorical. Life or death. So everything leads to death and dying. Hence you have the celebration of dying, which is the funeral thing, and over the years, it then turned into a party. Potluck and all that kind of stuff, you know what I'm saying? Because everybody's expecting to die at some point from something. It's in there. So now, did God put death in your mind, or did the devil put death in your mind? So, if the Indians were saying the white man speak with forked tongue, were they saying he was a good God, or were they saying he was a devil? Okay, so now why would you believe in the white man and the white man's world?
You wouldn't.
You wouldn't. You couldn't. It wouldn't make sense if you're trying to live. So I just wanted to share these things with you just to open up the class. And we want you all to be in celebration hearing these words. So you got to hear these words a certain kind of way. For years we heard them from sackcloth and ashes, because we thought if our heads were supposed to be bowed and we were supposed to be so humble, it's ridiculous, looking foolish. And it caused us some problems, because you can harbor negativity but so long before it has some physical effects. So a lot of people didn't know that a lot of things that happened to our people were what they call psychosomatic. That means that the mind-body connection was not there, where there could be mind over matter. And a lot of our people got illnesses that they shouldn't have gotten. And we went looking for it. Well, it was asbestos. Well, it was this, it was that. But we never really looked at the psychosomatic situation. Because a lot of people went through trauma that was never really addressed.
Right.
And as I close, the interesting thing about the human physiology and biology is that when in crisis, the biology seeks to save the mind first. You ain't got no mind, it's over. So it seeks to save the mind first. So what happens when you have a trauma? The body robs the physiology at some point of oxygen. So it creates a problem, a physical problem, to keep you from focusing on the mental problem, because the mental problem will deteriorate and cause you to be sicker, to be less active, and it take your happiness and your joy. If you had any, it'll take it away from you. So what the body does is it robs a particular part of the body, the oxygen. Now, in closing, I was working with an artist in California, great singer. But when we were talking about doing shows, I said, well, do you dance? She said, no, I don't dance. I don't dance because I broke my ankle. So I'm thinking she's going to say, like, she broke her ankle about 6 months ago.
Yes, sir.
She said, I said, well, when did you break your ankle? She said, I broke my ankles about 6 years ago. I said, and you can't dance?
Tell us about that mind, bro.
I said, that doesn't make any sense to me. I said, let's go to sports medicine. Guy gets an injury, they can tell you exactly when he's going to be back. Then when Paul George, and y'all saw him break his leg in two, and he was back the next year. So I had to get into her background. Where did she come from? She had been abused, a whole bunch of stuff that hadn't been addressed. So her body tried to save her mind. The most vulnerable part was the ankle. So the mind kept the ankle in that condition from a psychological and physical, you know what I'm talking about, from a psychological and physical perspective. And so what winds up happening is that you thinking about this ankle. And she was thinking about the ankle and wasn't going to be able to dance ever again. And she was perfectly healthy because she was like 25 years old. So, in closing, I'm saying, why would you believe in a world that kills everything? It don't need nothing alone. It don't need nothing alive. It's killing everything. And if it don't get you physically, it gets you psychologically and socially. And I'm saying that the key to all of that, which we're going to talk about tonight from a celebratory perspective, is that we knew this 50 years ago, that we were going to have to build our own world. Now you come in at a time where you don't have to go through what we went through, because you wouldn't want to go through the things that we went through, but led by the Prince, Ben-Ami, and a whole host of others that parlayed the freedom that Marcus Garvey was talking about, that Malcolm X was talking about, Elijah Muhammad was talking about, Silas Muhammad was talking about, Jesse Jackson, all of these people were talking about it, but they didn't understand that it was an external solution to the whole thing. So, in closing, I thank you for your time and your attention. And again, let's view all of this information in celebration. Because we got a lot to celebrate for. We're not going to get to it all tonight, but you know, as time goes on, we're going to be doing videos and we're going to be writing books and all these kinds of things about the great victory of your fathers and forefathers, your mothers, who participated in the greatest event in the last 2,000 years on this planet. So, I'm going to bring up okay, well, I'm going to bring you up in two. Okay, so without further delay, I don't like using the French. Without further delay, I'm going to bring up the national spokesman for the African Hebrew Israelite nation of Jerusalem. They call him the Little Prince, Joseph Ben Asiel.
All right.
Shalom, shalom, Kasameach.
Kasameach.
Before I go into my message, I want to bring on a man who has been instrumental in my growth and development. Man that I met about 10 years ago when I decided that physically I had to be stronger. But little did I know that this was a man that was going to make me intellectually and mentally and spiritually stronger as well. This is a man who does not just understand the martial arts, but the arts of life. He understands how to implement strategy. He understands how to implement peace and prosperity as well. He does not use his hands just for destruction, but he also knows how to use them for healing, as well as his mind. So I want to bring up the Minister of Defense, my teacher, my brother, Minister Mikhail. Please give him a round of applause.
Thank you. At first, I was looking to see who he was referring. I was like, man, he said, but thank you. I wanted to, in this season of Yom Kippur, I wanted to address the understanding of atonement. Not Webster's dictionary, but the theory and then application. In theory, you can forgive someone, right?
Yes.
But we're humans, and with finite minds, we have finite patience. And we tend to lose patience, especially if you apologize for the same thing over and over and over and over again. We naturally reach a point where we're like, well, enough, you ain't sorry, because you keep doing it. Well, then you have to stop and ask yourself, how many times have you prayed to the Creator to deliver you from a situation? And we all told the same lie. We said, Lord, if you get me out of this, I swear I will never.
No.
And we all lied. Yet, right, they was out that day. We all lied, but in spite of that, the Creator still forgave us and blessed us to see another day. So if we say that we love the Creator and we recognize we have the Spirit of the Creator within us, and we see and feel the Spirit of the Creator in others, how dare we be so insolent as to be impatient with others, even when they don't understand your point of view. They see our culture. I get teased at work. You know, I'm one of the few vegetarians at work. So first thing they ask me is, how you that big and a vegetarian? And my retort is, how many skinny gorillas have you seen? How many skinny elephants?
That's right.
Or rhinos? Just saying. But in this atonement, we have to look in terms of strategy. As Nasik Yosef mentioned, I'm a bit of a strategist. Yeah? So, when you do for yourself, you do so out of love, right?
Yeah.
All right. As a family member, when you do so for other family members, typically, you do so out of love, right? Okay. So if you only do for self, then eventually you become what's known as selfish. But when you think beyond self and do for others, now that's from a spirit of love. Because all of this is love-based. See, the strategy is utilizing love to combat your enemy. Because a fist can't do it all. Neither can a weapon. We're dealing with enemies that have close to a 6,000-year head start on us. So, nah, we're not going to do it that way. You getting some guns and arming yourselves and standing up, we're going to fight, is an exercise in futility. When we have the greatest power known to man, and that's love. And that's delivered through the Creator. Now in Hebrew, we say Yahweh. Other languages use, there's nothing wrong with that. The issue is not what you say, but how you live. Because I sat in class with the Shagrir one time, and to paraphrase him, he made mention that you can use your tongue to say anything. I believe the example he gave was, I'm a jet pilot. You see how easy that was? Now, we go out to the airport, and you got your family on the plane, and I'm asking where the start button is. Now, quickly, you're going to be like, get the kids, let's get off the plane, because this brother is lost. Huh? So you can say, I'm a this, I'm a that, or the other. But tonight, when you leave out of here, you encounter your brothers and sisters on the street that should have, but may not have been in here. How do you interact with them? See, as Hebrews, it's one simple thing. We have to lead by example. I read that great leaders and great teachers teach what they back to the people. Huh? See, how you living is what's relevant, because that sets the example. I don't have to explain to anybody about the virtues of vegetarianism at my job. When everybody's walking around, they all sharing the same sickness, they all sick and all this, I'm the only one that ain't sick. Other folks walking around, they taking protein shakes and popping these pills and vitamins, this, that, and other. I don't do none of that. It's not to brag or anything or demean those who are not vegetarian. But just to explain, as Nasik mentioned before, what type of world are you serving? If you say you love God and God is life, and life and love are synonymous, then how can you eat something that's dead and decaying? Just because you bake it, fry it, saute it, barbecue it, broil it, doesn't stop decomposition from happening. With some meats, it accelerates decomposition. Now, if you're healthy, what's your body temperature? 98.6, yeah? Okay, now you have approximately 22 to 23 yards of small intestine. So you just masticated or chewed up a carcass that's decomposing. Now it's sitting in an environment of 98.6 to slowly process through 22 to 23 yards. And you wonder why you have worms and whatnot. There was a book written by Yaya O Africa called Nutricide, and it addresses people chewing their way to a premature grave. Well, our role as vegetarians and vegans is to show people how to get more out of life, how to enhance your lives. I'll share this with you before I go. Do not waste any more money in buying protein powders, protein drinks, protein shakes. Because the first question they ask, you vegetarian, where you get your protein? Your body produces all the protein that you need. In actuality, let me be more specific. Your body produces the only protein that your body can process. All other foreign proteins, now your defense system, your white blood cells kick in. Because they're like, well, here's some protein we didn't make. They ain't part of us, so they got to go. So all that money you just wasted is now in the toilet because it came out through number one or number two. Or you just toxified your system depending on your health at the time you were taking it. But they're sold to you. This is what, when we look at, if we look at the good, we have to look at the bad. First thing you learn in strategy is know your enemy.
Right.
Our enemies are attacking us. We're under attack. We're facing. Our homeland is under enemy occupation. And we presently are prisoners of war. So we must move covertly and intelligently. First thing is know how your enemy is attacking you. They make their evil fair seem. See, it's just is the beginning of destruction. It's the beginning of a lie. Well, it's just, well, you figure if you're on the righteous path, one step, 1 degree off that righteous path, it's just 1 degree. Well, 1,000 paces later, it makes a major difference.
Yes, sir.
Now you can't even see the righteous path anymore.
Yes, sir.
Can't get back. See? So this is why it's written in the scriptures that the gulf is too wide. That I can't get to you and you can't get to me. See? So, again, sitting in class with some wise princes. At that point, it's time to stop what you're doing. Back up. Go back to the fork in the road where you got sidetracked and start anew. Okay? There's nothing wrong with starting over. There's nothing wrong with saying I made a mistake. You know, that's how you learn. Who, by a show of hands, who rode a bike for the first time, never failed, never had training wheels? Okay, so there's no liars. All hands were down. And just because you failed, you may even scrape yourself, broke something. Did that stop you? Because you saw the bigger kids doing it. It looked so cool, and you wanted to go on the bike path and ride and all that. Yeah. Or you see the folks doing the X Games stuff on TV. You wanted to pop willies and do all this against your mother's wishes. And you still learn how to do it, right? Okay, well, we're proposing a better way of life. We're proposing that why reinvent the wheel? They already laid the foundation 50 years ago.
Yes, sir.
See, it's up to us to pick the ball up and keep it going.
Yes, sir.
See, we have a new generation, new technologies, all this, that, and other. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Put it to the test. Put it to work for you. We shouldn't ever meet in a venue this small again. Nothing wrong with it. But what we're doing is helping so many people on such a broad scale. There shouldn't be room in here. Huh? We're not the only vegetarians in Chicago. But when you go to some of the other vegetarian restaurants, not to besmirch them, because some of them do have good food, but they put things together oddly. See, there's a spirit to what you do. All cooks know that there's a spirit in how you prepare the food. And that translates into how it tastes, how it's prepared, how it's presented. See, that makes all the difference in the world. So after the day when you let people know you celebrate Yom Kippur, you don't do so from a perspective of arrogance, you know? Do so from a perspective of planting a seed of intrigue. See, you want the folks to research what you said. They'll forget your words. But once they read it for themselves, they got it. Now, before I close, I want to share with you that in Yom Kippur, we have to forgive our debts. Because if you're a debtor and I've lent you money or done favors for you, and you've earnestly been trying, but you've been going through a hard patch this whole season, and now here it's Yom Kippur, as your brother, we wipe the slate clean. Now that don't mean abuse it, and wait a couple months to Yom Kippur to hit somebody up, and then be like, oh man, you know, my check didn't come in, you know how we do. Sometimes we are our own worst enemies. So the purpose of this is to prevent that. Because if I have as much love and concern for you and your family as I have for my own, that if I see you without, if I got something to eat, you got something to eat. If I got a few coins in my pocket, you can have some. You know, you don't give nobody your last, you know. But, because you have to provide for your own family. But as the more of us that think to look after one another, the less of us will be without. That's the primary objective. As long as we know we have each other's back, there's the unity, there's the strength. See, this way no one can come with money or promises of jobs or whatever they could try to tempt you with and divide us. That collective unity is rooted in our knowledge and love of the Creator. That knowledge and love of the Creator is manifest in how we treat ourselves and how we treat each other. Because like I said, how you living? You see, when you go home, when you take all this off, how you living?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
In party. These three things. Your daily thoughts, your daily words, your daily actions. Those are your daily prayers.
Yes, sir.
Not our Father who art in heaven. That's good recitation. But all you're doing is reciting words. Based on how you're living. What spirit do you house here and here? Because that's what's manifest with what you do here. See, if your daily thoughts are positive, what you house in your heart is positive, what you do for others is positive, then it's safe to say that those daily prayers are directed toward Yah, toward the Creator. If they're not, then you get it.
Yes, sir.
All right. Shalom.
Shalom.
That was beautiful. I'm coming to you. But before I get started, we're going to do one more thing. I want to bring my pastor up here because he has a voice that I think is going to encapsulate the night and the spirit of what we're trying to do. Because I think Prince Amiel said that this is a what? Oh, no, I don't think they heard you. Hold on. You said it. He said it. I think I heard one other person say it. But we got a lot more people than 3 people in this room. What is tonight? Celebration. What is tonight? Celebration. What's tonight? Celebration. Let me hear you now. Let's go ahead. Let's celebrate, Pastor.
All right, yes, sir. Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, saints. Can we just clap our hands and give the Father praise and glory and honor? Now that's good if that was for me, but I said for the one who woke you up this morning.
Hallelujah.
Come on, clap your hands and say hallelujah. Come on, isn't the Father good? Hallelujah. I like that. Come on, put your hands together. Let's see if we can do some of that. That's my body. Come on, we celebrate. Y'all like grooves. Come on, y'all like grooves, right? Everybody say yeah, 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 yeah. Everybody say yeah, 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 yeah. Everybody say yeah, 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 yeah. Everybody say yeah, 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 yeah. Hey, we're blessed in the city. We're blessed in the field. We're blessed when we come and when we go. We cast down every stronghold. Principalities must cease, for the devil is defeated. We are blessed. Come on. We're blessed in the city. We're blessed in the field. Come on. We're blessed when we come and when we go. We cast down every stronghold. Sickness and poverty must cease, for the devil is defeated. We are blessed. Everybody say yeah, 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 yeah. Everybody say yeah, yeah, yeah. blessed, I'm blessed, I'm blessed, I'm blessed. Look at somebody. You're blessed, you're blessed, you're blessed, you're blessed. Come on, say it to somebody. Say yeah, yeah. Say yeah, yeah. Say yeah. Say yeah, yeah. Anybody blessed? We celebrating the Father. Ain't this how we do it? This reminds me of my living room growing up. Had all my uncles and my aunties, everybody come over. And they'll say, little John, get on the keyboard and start playing and get us a groove going. Come on, so move your feet a little bit. You can bob your head a little bit. Come on. Hey, everybody say yeah, 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 yeah. Everybody say yeah, 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 yeah. Come on. Say I am blessed. I am blessed. I am blessed. I am blessed. Come on. Anybody believe that? You believe that? Come on, put your hands together, give the Father praise. Hallelujah. I'm going to do a little bit of this song and then I'll end it. My little time here. But we bless the Father. How many people glad that it's Yom Kippur? We made it to see another Yom Kippur.
Hallelujah.
I am too. I'm going to do a little bit of this song. The song goes like this. You are here in this place. You are great and mighty, awesome deliverer. In you I can depend. No one can do the things like you do. Yeah, yeah. No one can ever take your place. Hey, that's why you're great. And there's no one like our God. Anybody believe that today? I'll say it one more time. Oh, you are here in this place. You are great and mighty, awesome deliverer. In you I can depend. No one can do the things like you do. Yeah, yeah. No one can ever take your place. That's why you're great. And there's no one like our God. There's nothing impossible for you. There's no mighty one like our Yah. He'll comfort you. Yes, he will. With my hands lifted high and with a loud voice. With my hands lifted high and with a loud voice. With my hands lifted high and with a loud voice, declaring you're worthy and there's no one like our God. Oh, there's no one like him. There's no one like our God. Yeah. And there's no one like our God. Come on and give him praise.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah. First and foremost, giving all honor and praise to that beneficent God. We thank him for our ancestors in whatever form or fashion they may be found. We thank him for our founding fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. We thank him for Moses or Moshe and the Torah. We thank him for Yeshua, or what the world knows as Jesus, for the new gospel. And we even thank him for Prophet Muhammad ibn Abdullah for the Holy Quran, because we know that the Holy Quran is the story of the children of Israel. But surely if I can thank God of men I know only from study, only from scripture, I must thank him for those men who came in our midst and touched our lives. So I must thank our anointed spiritual leader, Ben Ami HaMashiach, Nasi Shaliach, our spiritual teacher who taught us know thyself through his writings. And most certainly, if those two had a spiritual child, it would be my father, the international ambassador, Prince Asiel Ben Israel. In those holy names, I greet all of you in the words of peace. Shalom Aleichem. I know they out there looking at us crazy. They said, them Negroes in there playing music on Yom Kippur, singing and dancing with the lights on. Y'all don't know understand what we're doing right now. We're changing the paradigm. We can't continue to do things because somebody else said that's the way it should be done.
That's right.
We can do it if it makes sense and is functional, but if it's not producing anything, why the hell, and don't excuse my language right now, but why the hell would you continue to do that?
That's right.
It don't make no sense. This is a new world. How do we know it's a new world? Because we're doing new things with a new mind and producing new outcomes. So that's enough to celebrate right there, am I right?
Yeah.
Let's give yourself a round of applause for being part of a new world and being a part of that process which changes the generations to come. Before I get into my message, I just want to thank every speaker who went before me. I want to thank Prince Amiel as he always eloquently places us in the right time, in the right position to acquire and apply knowledge. I want to thank Shadoshi Mikael, who shows you he's not just a minister of defense of the body, but also of the mind. Because he explained and articulated how to defend the mind and the soul and the spirit, which is most critical. Because you can't eat off bread alone. You can't live off bread alone, am I right?
Right.
That means you got to have a spiritual protection. So why do you think you got to be here today? When everybody else is doing whatever the hell they're doing, we have to get our spiritual food to give us the nutrients and the minerals so that we can survive and live the onslaught that we face every day.
That's right.
I want to thank my pastor. I want to thank my brothers and sisters. We got a living legend in the room. My father in 2003, when Mother Mandela came to Africa, he was on record of calling her the diamond of Africa. Am I right, Prince? But we got a diamond of Africa in our midst right now, and her name is Queen Joanna. I just want to give her a round of applause. And her sister, Iman Shalemia. Two beautiful precious stones who bend the rock for good and bad for our prince. But before I go into my message, I want to thank my father, who gave me a position, gave me a voice, who gave me an image, and a lot of other mannerisms that I've copied off of him, so that I can be here today to deliver this message. Shagru, a lot of people over the last couple of years have said you lost it, that you lost your mind, that you went crazy, that you were living a double life. Well, we're here to say that you are vindicated, Prince, because all those people who said that, they're not here today. Their children are not here today. Their children are not a part of this. They've lost and been wet by the wayside. And if it's not for you and for your loins, they don't have no chance.
That's right.
They don't have no hope. Prince is vindicated. Clear of all charges. If he wasn't, I wouldn't be able to stand from you right now. Not just in good conscience, but physically, I wouldn't be able to stand in front of you. Because when you do wrong and to create a name, he doesn't just snatch your life, he destroys your generations.
That's right.
Wasn't that part of the curse?
Yeah.
Wasn't that part of the curse?
Yeah.
So are we cursed if we're still here today?
Yes.
All right then. We got to set this precedence right now. I have to go through these formalities because we have to know why we're in this room right now. We're supposed to be everywhere else right now. We wasn't supposed to be celebrating Yom Kippur in 2017 after everything that happened. Not the family. I wasn't supposed to be here, Prince. I was the bastard child, supposedly. Born out of wedlock. From a Muslim mother. But somebody had the fortitude, had the understanding and the knowledge to name me Yosef, to name me Yusuf. That spirit that will come back and unite the families again.
All right now.
Bring peace and harmony back to the planet. To continue my Father's work. That's why I'm with the Moors and I'm accepted by them. And they love me and they call me Prince. That's why I'm with the Muslims. I'm on TV every day and I ain't on TV shucking and jiving. I'm talking about white supremacy and destroying it. Talking about building a nation. Every Sunday. I wouldn't be able to do that if I was just a regular person. I wasn't supposed to do that if I wasn't the prophetic Yosef and Joseph that would come into a time to wear all those clothes. You wouldn't understand that because that's not your job or your mission. That's okay. That's my mission. That's why you can call me a Muslim. I am. Because a Muslim only means to be of righteous nature. Submit to God. So damn right I'm a Muslim. I'm a Hebrew. Because I crossed over into another understanding of enlightenment. And also, more importantly, of an application of that knowledge. Are you vindicated, Shakri? You ain't got nothing to worry about. Father, don't worry. I'm trying to tell you, you don't have nothing to worry about.
That's right.
You're a true visionary. I'm getting to the message, but I gotta say these things, Shakri, because the people need to know.
That's right.
They don't get this every day. I'm blessed. I get Prince Samuel and Shagrin and the minister and all these other brothers that I'm able to acquire this knowledge from. But all of us are not in that position right now. Some by choice, some by coincidence and circumstances. But that's an old story. This is a new day. But we was going through some tapes, and Shagrin, in a class that he gave, You Know Not What You Worship, in 2001, he taught about a vision and a visionary. Didn't you, Shagrin? A vision, something that is beautiful, that is inspired by God to promote and produce change. But then they give the word visionary. Somebody who's caught up in delusions. Somebody who's imaginative. Somewhat, pardon my expression, loco. So why would they have a word like vision that's so beautiful, so profound, that produces something so righteous, but then when the visionary, just a person who carries the vision, it becomes almost as a demonized and destructive word. Right. It's because you were not supposed to have a vision. And if you were to get the vision, you were supposed to be disconnected from the people. That's why whenever God gives us a visionary, they always discredit him.
Yeah.
Throughout history. I can go and talk about Moses, I can talk about Jeremiah, I can talk about Malcolm, I can talk about them guys, but I ain't gonna do all that because we got a living legend visionary in our midst right now, so I'm gonna talk about him. Prince, in 2007, you had a vision in Ghana when you had the realization that something isn't right. Some of you may have heard this story, but you ain't never heard it from me, so I'm gonna tell it. Shagriel was sitting in Accra, Ghana, if I'm not mistaken, in one of the nation houses, and he looked around him, and he said, after 40 years, nothing's standing no more. Not because we wasn't there, not because we wasn't trying, not because we didn't have the passion or the intentions to create or to proliferate something great. It's because something had infiltrated the minds of the people to disconnect them from the vision. The original vision had dissipated. So God gave another vision to a visionary. Shagrin, it's time to reawake the people. Time to refocus them. Infuse some new blood, infuse some new ideas, some new spirits, take it to the next level. Because if you're not progressing, you're doing what?
Regressing.
And what is regression? It's death. We know that stagnant water, not just regressing water, stagnant water is deadly.
Yep.
So if you're regressing, you past death. You're in the grave. That's where we were at. Please follow along because I want you to draw the parallels in our lives. I'm giving you a story, but I want you to connect it to your life because if you connect it to your life, ultimately this information will save your life. And I don't mean that lightly. We can't take this stuff for granted no more, man. Just because you're walking around, just because you're going to a job or you're doing some hanging out, getting some girls, getting some boys, you think you're living life. We know there's 37 ways of death, right? Or ways to die, and only one puts you in the ground, right? So that means you have 36 other options to die, and every day we are performing one of those options. Let's take another look at life because we're going to make praising God and praising Yah functional again. That's what the message of this Yom Kippur is. That's why we ain't coming in sackcloth and ashes. That's why we ain't got the lights down low so we can't see nobody and everybody fall asleep and nobody getting no damn message. That's why we got music so he can bring us back alive and wake whoever thought they wanted to get some sleep up. You gotta get this information. It's a new era. It's gotta be functional. Music gets the energy going. It gets the vibes. It wakes you up. It activates something in you. Why not infuse that into knowledge? It's innately in us. That's part of our culture. Just because we've acclimated to another culture, that don't mean we can go back to our culture and still be successful. It's that time. Chagrin, you got the vision that it was time to change. As soon as you got the vision, the enemy started working against you. After that, the brothers that you had close to you turned against you. The people in the community that you raised and took care of turned against you. Seemed like your children were leaving you. It seemed like your wives wasn't understanding what you were doing. So many obstacles. You were in prison again for the second time at 70 plus years old when they knew that this was the chance they would ever kill Prince Asiel.
Yeah.
This is what happened.
That's what they thought.
You're not supposed to be here, Chagrin. And by proxy, we're not supposed to be here. Because if they take you out, what the hell are we going to stand on? We ain't looking at it like that. We're looking at the Chagrin as an individual, but he's been telling us since day one, he is Chagrin, we are Chagrin, he's the people.
That's right. That's right.
We gotta lift this giant up.
Yes.
Because in lifting him up, we're able to climb on his back and stand on his shoulders. Think about how tall you are. What is the information you always tell me? You 27, 28. I don't want to tell my age, but I'm one of those ages. And this 75, what's that makes me?
100 plus.
Easy. We ain't got the Prince out here. You know what I'm saying? I'm already ahead of the game. But think about all of you that may just be a little bit older than me. Think about how further you will be. That's why we got to do this. Back to the visionary. They tried to kill the visionary. Didn't work. He's here. And he's here for a reason. He's here because this is probably the only place, not in Chicago, but in the world, a group of Hebrews or so-called righteous brothers where you got 70-year-old, 60-year-old, 50-year-old, a 30-year-old, and a 20-year-old on the same stage. All generations covered. And they so profound, they let the youngest guy go last as the keynote speaker. Talking about progression. What black man you know doing that? It don't happen. Granted, I had a little practice. Still, they didn't have to give me this opportunity. We in something great right now. I don't want you to see me as just a guy up here talking. I want you to see me as you putting yourself in a position to bring forth this new heaven and this new earth. In the Quran, Surah 18, it talks about Moses and the wise man, Chagrin. There you go, talking about that Muslim stuff again on Yom Kippur. I know. But it's a reason why. I'm going to bring Yosef up here to read. My brother helped me read. But it talks about having a comprehensive knowledge of things. What does it mean to have a comprehensive knowledge of things? It's critical. So before I go into that, I want him to read the definition of comprehensive. I'm reading these definitions not to try to infer that nobody doesn't know what this means, but a lot of times we know a word for what we know it for, and not as a collective group. So I want everybody to be on the same page as when we disseminate this information, so there'll be no confusion. Yah is not the author of confusion. That's the devil. It's on. We ain't gonna talk during this session now. The people gotta hear everything. We don't want no distractions. So I want him to read this. Go ahead, brother.
Complete, including all or nearly all elements.
Complete. To have a comprehensive knowledge, to have a complete knowledge. So you can't just read the Bible alone and think you got a knowledge, Hebrews. That's why you out there on the corner standing yelling at white people, think you making a damn change. What the hell you think you doing just making some damn noise? You part of this damn system that we supposed to be destroying. That's not how you get to our people. That's not how you build them up. It's impossible. Have somebody yell at you and think you want to listen to it. You automatically shut down. Comprehensive knowledge of things. Go ahead, brother.
Including all or nearly all elements or aspects of something.
Why did I start off the conversation and said I had to wear all the clothes? I had to know all the information I could possibly know. Why did Prince go to all those different communities, not just Hebrew communities, but Christians, Muslims, nationalists, Pan-Africanists, go on down the line? Even the European double? Was you standing against the Gorbachev?
Absolutely.
Did you know he was the devil?
Absolutely.
Does that make you scared or turn away and not have a conversation with him?
I created the devil.
You gotta have a comprehensive knowledge of things. Yeah, he hit that. He just said he created the devil. So you know we got victory in our hand. All praise to it. This is what we can't limit ourselves no more. Because this satanic white supremacist organization has co-opted all the religions. You're a Muslim, you're a Hebrew, you're a Jew, you're a Christian, you're a Protestant, agnostic, atheist, whatever. You still practicing satanic order. God isn't in the midst of those things. Why do I say that? Because it hasn't produced nothing that's righteous. We got all these black Muslims in the world. Sorry. We got all these black Muslims in America. Has Mecca, Jeddah, or Medina come in defense of all our unarmed black brothers being killed in the streets? Okay. Okay, we got black Jews. I know one. Rabbi. Is the European Jews come to their defense? Has the Pope come to their defense or the Catholics? We can go down the list. See what I'm saying? It's not functional, man. It's part of, we're part of an after-school organization. Something to say we're a part of something to make we feel like we know something. But we don't know nothing. Because we ain't studying. And if we do know a little something, we ain't applying it, so it don't damn matter anyway. Keep going, brother.
Of large content or scope, wide-ranging. That's comprehensive.
Okay, that's good, that's good. No, it's cool right now. Stay right here. Comprehensive knowledge. Heaven and hell is a state of mind, right? We all agree on that. But our mind produces our environment. And if your mind is not as strong as the environment that you're in as an individual, your environment controls your mind. It's a fact. It's almost like a circle effect. So yes, we know as an individual we have the ability to create heaven or hell, but as a collective group, we got the ability to implement heaven or hell. And because most of our minds have been inculcated into the environment that's conducive to a hellish society, as the prince said earlier, we're all practicing satanic, hellish ideas. So you say righteous in name or theory, but in application, it's not feasible. You can't be a totally righteous man in a totally wicked society. It's impossible. Why do you think we came out of here? Yes, we know America, not the country, but the geographical location is ours because we own Earth. We're the original man and woman on the planet. That's without question. But America is a concept. It's not a geographical location. It's a corporation. It's an institution. So we're not Americans, we're not a part of America, and we never will be, because it was created for our very demise. Yeah. So all the guys that say, well, we're from this land. Yes, you are, but you're not from this concept. You're not from this mind that created this idea. That's not your mind. That's why you'll never have justice. 1857, Dred Scott, Supreme Court Justice Taney said that there's no rights or rules that a black man has that a white man is bound to respect. That's still the law of the land. Yeah. That's because it was created that way. Yeah, I know in 1865 they gave you the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment, but it had clauses in it. Yeah. And still, that Dred Scott trumps those. When they said we created all men equal, they meant the men in the room at the time they was writing those documents. So, let's make God functional again. Read the word and definition.
Functional, of or having a special activity, purpose.
Okay. What in our worship, what in our daily doings has a special purpose? What activities are we doing that promotes God, that promotes Yah, that promotes this new world? Well, I got a job, I go work 8 hours out the day. So you telling me you got to build your world part-time when you get off work or on the weekends, or hopefully when Christmas comes. I'm not just saying this and just we're going to add levity to the conversation, but I wanted to get what we're saying. Because we're saying that we're people of God. We're saying that we want a new world, that we want to end these injustices. But yet we don't do nothing to do it. That makes us hypocritical. Stop for a second and go to the definition of hypocrite or hypocrisy. Hear this now. Shagir gave me this one, I can't take credit for this. But we all at some point, if not at this very moment, has practiced this attribute. I know it hurts to say, but I gotta keep it real, because if we don't keep it real, how can we get the solutions? Right. If you come in with a broken arm from a doctor and I say, nah, it's okay, just put a Band-Aid on it, and nothing heals, you're gonna be mad at me. You're gonna say, I did you wrong, you try to sue me for malpractice. Well, I'm your spiritual doctor tonight, and I ain't gonna let you go out with just no Band-Aid. I'm gonna open, cut up, fix the bone, bandage you up, and then send you out. Read the definition, brother.
The practice of claiming to have moral standards or beliefs to which one's own behavior does not.
Start with that. Oh, start over. You're going too fast. You're going just too fast, man. The people need to hear every word because they want to reject it. So you have to say it 5 or 6 times. But time won't allow us to do that. So just read every word bit by bit. So we can get this, brother. We got to get this tonight. We can't keep doing this, y'all real?
Go ahead, Prince.
Hypocrisy.
I'm tired of it. Hold on, brother. No, I'm really tired of this, man. We've been doing this for hundreds of years. I know I'm young, but I don't want to stand up here speaking forever. I do enjoy it. Okay. But I don't want to speak about this forever. We had too many examples of what to do, and we've had even more of what not to do. Let's fix this, man.
That's right.
We're here for a reason. I know God brought y'all here for a reason. Because we put this at the last minute, and at the last minute, we got a full house. From people who said they would never come listen to me. I'm saying, I'm calling you out. I ain't gonna call you by name, but I'm gonna say it. Go ahead.
The practice of claiming to have moral standards.
Okay, the practice of claiming, key word, claiming. You profess it from your mouth. Didn't the minister say, my father said you can say you anything? Right. What was the example you gave?
I'm a jet pilot.
But you gotta make it functional. So we gotta see you inside of a plane, actually flying a jet. So if we're gonna see you professing to be a son and daughter of God, we have to see you actually make it functional. It's gotta be applicable to our lives.
That's right.
What are we producing? What type of children are we producing? What type of relationships are we producing? Pastor? I can't say I got a wife and she don't believe this. Ain't my damn wife. If she's not studying like I'm studying, she ain't in this like I'm in this, not in it for me, not in it for no children, but in it for y'all and the vision, that's not my wife. I can say that easily. Because I'm real myself.
That's right.
I said, I'll tell you. I said, if I ever leave this mission, this vision, run away from me. Don't ever look back, because I literally lost my mind. I know everybody think I'm crazy now, but if I do that, I'll truly be crazy. Hear me now. That's what type of dedication you gotta have to this. That comes first. Because I got a daughter. But if I'm not creating no world, what the hell am I doing? I don't care if I'm there every single day, taking them to school, picking them up, doing all those little toys, and when I send them of age, I'm gonna send them in a world where they have no protection. Where I can't keep them safe. Where I can't stop atrocities from happening. We seen a 19-year-old girl just go into the freezer and die, talking about a party. That wasn't in the plan, I'm pretty sure, from her parents.
I'm sure.
But if you don't have an environment that's conducive to the mind and the ideas and the principles that you say you live by, it does not matter. Let's make God functional again. Keep reading, brother.
The practice of claiming to have moral standards.
You practice it, and it's repetition. You keep telling yourself every day, thinking that it may possibly come true. Man, I'm a great basketball player. I'm a great basketball player. I'm a great basketball player. Say it every day. I know how to box. But you get in that ring, and you get knocked right out. That's what we're doing in life. We ain't got no defense. Every time we come up with an obstacle, we fall down. We say what we cannot do. I can't go to Israel, Shangri. I ain't got no damn money. Right. How am I live over there? I heard they killing people. They bombing. Africa, they stealing little zoo suits, and whatever. They got them running around naked and riding giraffes. That's what you tell yourself. Because you ain't ready to put the work in. White boy came in with nothing but the clothes on his back.
Right.
50 years they was eating each other. Probably a little bit longer. And now we call him God. What can we do with a supreme knowledge and understanding and the forefathers like Prince and them? How much further can we go in 50 years? Damn sure ain't gonna be eating each other. Go ahead, brother.
To have moral standards or beliefs to which one's own behavior does not conform.
There it goes again. Your performance, your actions have to match the words that you profess.
Yes.
Scripture always says that you can bear a tree by the fruit that it bears. I mean, what is your words producing? I know we say the pastor's supposed to be the greatest and righteous guy. What is his daughter doing? What is his son doing? Hell, what the hell is he doing when the door's closed? What your actions producing, man? We can't take this lightly no more. That's it on the definition? Understand, I'll go back to function. It's so critical. This is so critical. Because that visionary came in our midst. Because we're in this Eurocentric Gentile world, we've been taught to kill the visionary. We were taught about to kill you.
Right. Right.
Don't listen to this Chakra. He getting old. He out of touch. I don't feel like answering for him today. I'll call him back later. Now you be the same one. Something happened to him. Oh, my father, my husband, my friend, my teacher. But you didn't take the time when he was here to be taught. You're a hypocrite. We all are. But today's going to change. Because this is going to be the real Yom Kippur where we shed away those old ways. We get that leavening out of our heart. And our greatest leavening is the hypocrisy that we live by every single day. Go, keep going, bro. I don't want us to just understand this. We got to overstand functionality. Because every day our world is functional around us. The stoplights don't stop working. The police force don't stop working. Their world never stops being functional. You take breaks. Clap that up. And we clapping it up because now we're not taking no more breaks, man.
That is the truth.
We can't. That's why we're not taking serious, Shagril. They kill us in the street because you ain't got no functionality about yourself. They're justified by killing you knowing that you don't have no purpose. Scripture says people without a vision shall perish.
Right.
We don't have no vision. Why? Because we're not connected to the visionaries.
Come on here.
Not because we wasn't given a vision. Not because we don't have a plan. It's because the person who has a plan or knows how to implement the plan, we push him away from us.
Facts.
Even with me. On a small scale. You was taught not to listen to me. My own nephews and nieces.
Every day.
Hear me now.
Every day.
What gives him success? I'll tell you what gives me success. I had a vision, and it came true. 2007, out of high school, 17 years old, I told my father that I wanted to be him. Did I say it, Chagrin?
Yes, sir.
Fast forward 10 years later, did they call me the prince? Did they call me national spokesman? They call me ambassador? Am I teaching in front of you right now? Shit, do I look like him? I did what I said I was going to do. I became the Chagrin.
That's right.
That means I knew how to implement a plan.
That's right.
That means I was successful. That means I took a vision and became a visionary. That's what qualifies me. I listen to my fathers and my mothers. Let's listen to our spirit in ourselves because the vision is already in you. I'm just reverberating something that's already inside of you. But sometimes it takes an external force to activate the internal that's already in you. Go ahead, brother.
Relating to the way in which something works or operates. Dysfunction.
That's the whole thing?
Of a disease affecting
Oh,
the
ooh,
operation.
okay, what's that? Say it again?
Of a disease affecting the operation rather than the structure of an organ.
So when you're not functional, it's a disease.
Oh yeah, okay.
It's a pathology. We got nurses in the room. Disease destroys the body. You not being functional actually destroys your very body. Why do you think you always coughing and sneezing? Because you ain't doing nothing. I know you get up every day. I know you probably work hard in what you think you're working hard, but I'm saying functional is your life's mission, which is to promote, to proliferate, and perpetuate life. That's what you were born for. That's what you were created for. Functionality. I'm wrapping up, but go ahead, brother.
Of a mental illness.
So much to go through, but we got to give it piece by piece because we ain't going to draw this out. But you got to come back. You ain't going to get it overnight.
Consistency.
You go to college. How many years you was in college, y'all?
4.
Are you still going?
5 more years.
How many days have you been here with me? Not 4 years. And you ain't thought about 5 more to go. But this is the start. Every journey starts with the first thought. I put the thought in your head. I gave you a head start. So now it's time for you to make the step. I did the hard part. Let's do it now. Because I'm getting not my information, I'm getting it from these guys. So I got credible sources. I put my 10 years in. You heard me start in 2017? 2007 is 2017. I'm a doctor now. Did my residency and everything. I'm making plans for it. We got our own world, so I can define my own reality.
Dr. Yosef.
There we go. Somebody got it.
Of a mental illness, having no discernible organic cause.
Say that again, brother. Say it again.
Of a mental illness,
A
having
mental
no
illness.
discernible organic cause.
That means you're not naturally producing something. Everything that you do is artificial. We're creating artificial thoughts in the artificial world and producing artificial relationships and children. Oh, they're talking about my child. I know that's fighting words in the black community. But that's what we're doing. What world is your children connected to? Breaks my heart, Shakira, that our children have become Jews. Most of the problem is some of their parents never stopped being Christians, but damn, to be a Jew, that's not what we went to Israel for.
Sir, we went to Israel to make the Jews be right. For wanting to be a Hebrew, we was going to take them to the next level, not let them bring us down to their level. That's right. So rituals, wearing black suits in Northeast Africa, why would we do that? Why would we wear fur hats in a land that's 110 degrees? And then they call themselves the righteous. They don't know that that's not to wear in that kind of weather.
Teach.
And it has nothing to do with color, because we bring in the whole family on the planet back under divine understanding and order. So I want you to know that's what you're doing. That's what I went there to do.
This is critical. This is critical. Finish reading, brother. We're gonna wrap up. Yeah, finish.
Designed to be practical and useful rather than
Designed
attractive.
to be practical. Our worship has to be practical
And useful.
and useful. Like the Shagri just said, that's not practical nor useful. That's why in the summertime we wear linen, breathable fabrics, because it's practical and usable. We're not slaughtering no lamb on Passover because it's not practical or usable. We're not acquiescing into this Euro-Gentile world because it's not practical or usable. That's why we're doing this Yom Kippur different. Everybody who spoke about practicality. Something that you can use as soon as you walk out the door. My teacher, Micaiah, every time he teaches and trains us, he gives us something we can implement as soon as we walk out the door. Because there's no use of training us something and we put us in a situation and we can't defend ourselves. So what am I supposed to do? What are we supposed to do? Give you something that you can't walk out the door and use and get the applicable results from, that produce something righteous, that protects you. It's nothing more important in the world than to establish the kingdom of God. Nothing. Only problem is we never put our energy into that reality. We never do. We can go, I'm not saying don't go to these colleges. I'm not saying don't get these jobs. But get this information and knowledge so we can bring home and build our world. We don't need you doing something for 50 years for them and then at 60 you worn out and tired and don't want to do nothing no more. That's not useful or practical to us. If you're going to get that information and knowledge, bring it back so we continue to build our world. I'm going to wrap up on this last scripture. I'll be remiss if I see Yom Kippur. I got to at least get one scripture. We're going to go to Revelations 21, first chapter. Hear this, so critical. Just the first lines, because this is what we've been talking about all night. We're going to make it practical and useful. Go ahead, brother.
And I saw a new heaven.
New heaven. We established earlier that heaven is a mind. So I have a new mind. Let's make it simple now. We're not going to make it mythical and religious. Religion is good, not in the more colloquial meaning where it has been compromised, but I'm talking about the essence of religion is nothing but a government. Moses came to establish a government. Abraham came to establish a government. Prince Asiel came, and Ben-Ami and all those brothers and sisters came to establish a government. I don't care what you say. You can't practice your laws and being governed under somebody else's. They're diametrically opposed. You cannot be American Hebrew or Hebrew American. You cannot. So, a new mind. This new heaven is a new mind. And what would it produce?
A new earth.
A new earth. A new environment. That means wherever we set up, whatever geographical location that we set up, it's going to be a new environment. Conducive of our minds, our principles, our statutes, our ordinance. That's what this new earth looks like. You ain't got to worry about your babies being snatched up. You ain't got to worry about your brother sleeping with your wife or your wife sleeping with you. Those things don't even cross nobody's mind because it's a new environment with a new mind. Some things we just ain't going to have to worry about no more. It ain't going to cross your mind. Then what?
For the first heaven and the first earth were passed away.
Passed away. They was gone. But we're going to get a new Jerusalem. Meaning we're going to get a new nation. Because the nation that we've been participating in has not been in line with what we really are and who we really are. The nation that we created 50 years, we had bumps and bruises, but we're not giving up. What you always teach us, how you don't throw the baby out with the bathwater? The baby's still good and functional. The baby's not the problem. The nation's not the problem. It's the bathwater, i.e. the people. I gotta talk straight tonight. If I offend you, I offend you, but I gotta speak truth to power. This is what we build. This is what this Yom Kippur represents. So as I leave you tonight, I want us to understand those principles. Functionality. There's so much more to this, and I please hope that we come back. But we gotta make God functional again. Everybody in this room, we have enough to do whatever we want. None of us have to work jobs no more. We know how to do everything, making food, making homes, making clothes. What are we doing? Economics should be the last thing we should be talking about as a problem. Everybody got cars in here. Let's start a transportation business. Everybody, I'm saying that's just what we can do if we come together and just put our ideas together and just do it. Just talk about it one time and then do it. That's how the restaurant came into existence, right?
Absolutely.
Out of functionality. You need to feed yourself. And from that, we became the most successful and the greatest vegan restaurant in this world. Everybody came out of us. And we're not benefiting from it. Not because we don't have all the money that comes, but because we're not even living by the stuff that we said we started. That's what I'm talking about, functionality. How can somebody take us serious if we're not living by the diet that we ascribed? Let's make it functional again.
That's real good.
Excuse my passion. I get alive sometimes.
It's okay. That's okay.
I love this. Maybe I could do this every day, Prince. You're right. We could have been in another place in the world, but you decided to be here, and that's something that we do not take lightly or for granted. We thank you for giving us your ears and your hearts. And I pray that this message is in your heart, and that you take it home, and whether you fast or not, but you take it, and you sit on it, you evaluate it, you interpret it, and you use it. And that we can come back and start to build again. The foundation is already laid. All we got to do is put up a roof, decorate it, decor. We got Ima Shalemi, she's a master decorator. Ain't gonna be hard. We got it. I leave you all in the words of peace. Shalom, shalom. If we can just give us a couple more minutes, I'll be remiss. I know that we fed, but we gotta get at least a dessert. So I want to bring Prince ICL, the international ambassador, up to just give us just a little something that really encapsulates everything. If you mind, Prince, just giving us something. Hallelujah. Can we give him a round of applause? Can we get the drums? Let's let the world know that we got a living legend in our midst, and we love him and appreciate him.
So that you know, Pastor, we didn't want a crowd of people. We wanted the people that love us and that we are here. I wanted my family, all of y'all that are here, to know that this Yom Kippur is very, very special. In Hebrew, repentance is teshuvah. Teshuvah, you stop going in the direction you've been going in, and you turn around and go back. When I look out in this room, in the beginning, if you go to Genesis 1:26, and it reads that God made man in his image and after his likeness. But the part that they never talk about is the last part. He made them both male and female. The only reason I'm standing here is because a great woman produced me. And you great women, my daughters, my granddaughters, and the women who are my sisters, my wives, have nurtured me, the individual, and me, the collective. Prince Asiel is not a single person. I receive those accolades on behalf of Ben-Ami, Ben Israel, who had the courage to accept the vision that he was given to begin the journey back to God. Coming out of the streets of Chicago, North Side, West Side, to Gabriel Nadeau, who had the courage and the tenacity to trust his brother and friend to follow him. To Rakami, who trusted to protect those men on their journey. To Prince Keskiahu, who had the patience to wait and see what God would do with him and them. To the elder Prince Eleazar, who had the faith to believe that we could become a holy people again, and became the first priest, anointed priest of God after 2,000 years. To Prince Elihu, who had the courage to create music to heal the sin-sick soul. And to his great father, the prince, who taught me to have no wants or desires. Just accept what the Creator gives you and work with it. To Prince Akiezer, who we call the craftsman, who took nothing and built a nation from it, and constructed the West African community in Ghana. To Nasi Ron, who was my next door neighbor, and had the faith to hear me and believe me when I invited him to the first meeting to go see and hear Nasi Shaliak. To Prince Amishadai, who we affectionately call the Prince of War, who had the strength and the tenacity to stand for God and truth. To all of these great men, to Prince Mikhail, who went on a trip to Haiti with Prince Elkanan to begin the internationalization of the return of the Hebrews. To Prince Elkanan, the general who carried the fight, to everybody that came up against the kingdom. All of these men, to Abba Eliav, the elder that came out of Cleveland, who was with the UNIA when I met him, and was a part of the movement out of Cleveland, the elder Yaakov and Ima Kivuda. To the great women, Ima Malka, Rofa Tikva, Ima Yonina, who had the faith to believe that they needed to be sister wives. To men that didn't know what a husband was supposed to do or be. To Ima Kava, the great mother of Shavakia and Amaria HaSalem, who opened up her business and let me begin to teach Hebrewisms, who left the Baha'i faith that she was a part of. To Malka, who left Detroit with her wealth and her privileged position to come to Israel with her sons. I don't want to miss anybody. And if I didn't call their name tonight, I will continue to lift their names up. To the great Nasi Shaliak, who made us know that God was big business. To his first wife, Yada. To his second wife, Daruda. to his third wife, Yehudi. These great women made it possible to create great daughters, not weak women. To Ima Yohana and Skanid Yoyada, who started the school in Dimona and built an educational system to retrain our children. To my daughters, Connie and Eliza, who started the Yom Kippur when they came back, who never left their teachings and made it possible for me to be alive today by diagnosing me and telling me what I needed to do and giving me more life. To Sister Shavakia, who gave me a place to stay in Detroit with her girls and her son. To this day, I have nothing but honor and respect. To Ramiel and Nisia, who ministered to me while I was in captivity in prison and fed me vegan food the whole time I was there for 2 years in prison to prove that God delivers his people no matter where they are. To the children and grandchildren of Ramiel and Nisia, who were born free, and it burns in them today. To Keturah, who started with us at Soul Vegetarian and made it possible. To Sadakia, to Niftakia and Yonina, to those great men and women. When I think about all of the people that God has blessed me to know on this journey, Yusuf said it right. If I had turned away, people were supposed to say I was crazy. That's why I wrote a letter and said, I'll never leave the kingdom or the people. But I understood what my role, because my vision was to take it to the next level.
Yes, sir.
You don't see a problem, and if you have a solution, don't try to solve the problem. To my son, the angel of the Lord, R.L., to Uval, the living water of God. To my firstborn, Ben Asiel, who everybody thought was dead, and that I had left him. There was no way. Ben Asiel is me. I couldn't leave me. I had to wait for him. To his great daughters, my granddaughters, whom I love dearly, that I would never leave their father or their mother without their making sure that I would know. To my brilliant granddaughter, Connie's daughter, to let you know that everything that your mother and your father believed in is real. I've never quit the kingdom of God. Joanna and Shalemia has never quit. Without those women, I wouldn't be here. And I want them to know. To Eliana, Ilana, who was told she was a goddess in Israel, by an Israeli Sabra woman. We way beyond color. This content of character, what Dr. King talked about. To Dair, who left school to become a part of the family and came and became an integral part of the building of it. There's so much I want to be thankful for on this Yom Kippur. So that I wanted all of you here to know there's no anger. There's no bitterness in me. I forgave everybody 2.5 years ago for whatever you said about me or spoke against me. I took a page from Yeshua. Forgive them, Father. They know not what they do. They didn't know that I was sent to them to do what I had to do. And just like Job's friend thought that because he was suffering, that God wasn't with him. But God sent me Samuel. And sent me to Samuel. And I said, you can't be a son. You passed the test for being a servant to God's people. You're a prince. And I thank God for El Ram, a real prince too. I thank God for Ishaya and Yedidiel, who wanted to help build the infrastructure in Israel so that the people there would have a legal basis to do what they needed to do there. We, tonight, have crossed over. We're the real Hebrew. Because we grew up. And we grew out. So, Teshuvah, I'm stopping and turning around and returning back to truth. I've been asked by 250 million Africans of African descent in the diaspora to be the president of the African descendant nation. I'm meditating on it. I brought Muslims to Israel, Christians, nationalists, Pan-Africanists, because we are their saviors. So tonight I want us to heal each other by loving each other. I'm so proud of you, Ja. You got the blood of both of your grandfathers in you, Ben Ami and Prince Asiel. So you got greatness in your future. I see it, I know it. So to all of the family that's here tonight, let this be the beginning of the healing. So thank you very much.
How to heaven is everybody? Well, they got them on that one, huh? I'll say, how to heaven is everybody?
Excellent.
Y'all ain't in hell, are you? Hey, so how to heaven are you? Okay, that's what I'm talking about. A new state of mind, a new world, a new language, a new vibration. We've elevated. Like the prince said, we've grown up now. Now we can do some things. The first 50 years was the physical delivery of the children of Israel from the land of captivities to the Holy Lands. The next 50 years is the spiritual delivery. And that's why the great prince and his mighty son focused on this reality of us moving on into this forgiveness and atonement. But we're not doing it from the sackcloth and ashes. I'm happy to make peace with you. Whatever I did, I'm sorry with a smile. And I ask your forgiveness in jovialness. All right?
Yes.
Can I do that?
Yes.
Can we do that?
Yes.
Well, you know, I won't violate again because I'm a happy camper. Because I forgive you, you forgive me. There is no place for the devil. No place. They often use the terminology, we've been divided and conquered. We have literally been that. But tonight, you are the healing process for that. In jovialness, in happiness and joy. Let us enjoy repairing our relationships. Let us look for opportunities for those who need forgiveness to prove to us that they deserve my forgiveness. Because it's a two-way street. If somebody wants to be forgiven, you can't stop them. You have to give them the environment where they can actualize what's in their hearts. And as we begin to repair these relationships, we get rid of a lot of psychic trauma. Taia, don't we? How much have we been carrying? A little bit or a lot? A whole lot. So we've been debilitating ourselves by not forgiving ourselves, not forgiving others, and not giving others the ability to prove that they can be forgiven. Y'all follow me? Yes. That's the template for the new world. In the scriptures, it was always there. It said, how many times should you forgive your brother? It says 70 times 70.
Always.
What'd it say?
Always, forever.
Forever. So how somebody committed an infraction and then one infraction and then you hold them hostage for the rest of their life? Y'all hear me? That's how the nations are going to heal, because you are healing. Said the whole earth moans and groans awaiting the expectations of you, the sons and daughters of the living Yah. You. Is that a good feeling? I mean, I used to wake up every day, I say, well, how was it me? How did I wind up being in this position in my life? How did I get this blessing? I had to pinch myself every day. I think I'm dreaming. I said when I was 19 years old, when I had my first baby, that if I had a baby, and I did have the baby at 19, that I'd have a world for them to come into, or I'd be building one. Now y'all got to know I'm a happy camper. I got 17 children, 15 grandchildren, and I got a world for them. Because what did we do? We built it. Now you know I got to be happy. I'm alive to see it. Kick it with them. Think about having more babies. I mean, hey, this is our world. Right, R.L.?
Yes, sir.
We ain't playing and we ain't been playing. I met the prince and I signed on. Look, yeah, you can have more than one wife. That was appealing. Everlasting life, yeah, that was appealing. But the most appealing thing to me is when he told me we could take Israel. That's why I signed on. Now, whatever anybody else did, that's good. But for me, I signed on because it made sense that Israel had been contextualized all of these years as the place that if peace came to Israel, it could come to the rest of the world. So where would the sons and daughters of Yah go? We had to go back home to the Holy Lands, get our land back and set it up for peace. Y'all following me? We've been conscious about this from day one. We weren't bumbling. We had order. We had structure. I just want to give all honor and praises to the sisterhood because y'all don't know how. Look, when I first came in and we used to do our marauding, you know, we, like Lamb Nelson said, I have a special set of skills. So we used to go out and practice those skills so that we could finance our kingdom. And sometimes it would take us into the wee hours of the night. And y'all got to hear this. So the sisterhood used to say, when y'all come in, wake us up so that we can serve you. Fix you something to eat. We said, man, we ain't gonna wake you up like 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. So you know what the sisterhood did? They got together and figured out a way. And you know what they used to do? They used to sleep in front of the door. So when we came in the door, we had to hit them. Are y'all hearing me? Y'all got to hear this. They devised a plan to wake up, no matter how late it was, and they get up and fix 3-course meals, have drinks, and they'll have it laid out. Y'all didn't know this. We just getting to the point to be able to tell you this. Now, I'm closing now, but I want to talk just a few seconds about Whitney Houston. When you look at the reality of the conditions of America, what it imposes on people, they assassinated Whitney Houston. But you all didn't understand why they assassinated her. So let me give them the story. Shagria courts them for 3 or 4 years before they agreed to come to Israel. But on the way out, Whitney Houston makes an announcement in the news that she is going to see her spiritual leader. Y'all got to hear this now. Now, Whitney Houston was the #1 personality in America, America's darling. Her mama, Sissy, and all of them were foundational in the church, right? Now, she's saying she's going to see her spiritual leader and traveling with Prince Raziel, who was already a spiritual leader. That was tantamount to her rejecting the church. Y'all got to hear me. Y'all. She rejected her mama and all of that juice from the church. Are y'all hearing me? So now, she leaves, comes to Israel, has a wonderful time. Queen Shalomia laid out the Red Sea, and we in the boats, and she got her shoes off, dancing, and they kicking it, and her and Bobby jumping, and the daughter jumping all over the place. I mean, they were pure. Why? Because we brought them into a pure environment where they could relax. The reason why I brought this up is because when the prince took her to meet the prime minister, right? they standing in a row. So Prince is here, Whitney's in the middle, and Bobby's on the end. And so the Prince introduces Whitney to the Prime Minister. And he sticks out his hand to shake her hand. She doesn't shake her hand, shake his hand. She grabs Bobby's hand and puts his hand in the Prime Minister's hand. That was the shot that rang around the world. Now, for all the stuff that they done said about her and Bobby, they were victims of this world who were being paid for the farthings to create music that would continue to keep the people in context. But Whitney, you know, they say about the sisters, sometimes they say she was a ride or die chick. She was a ride and live chick, because when they left, we were praying that we would stay in contact. But as soon as they got here, y'all got to remember, they worked on them. As soon as they got here, right after they got here, Bobby wound up going back to jail. Now they needed money. Now before she left, she was making $1 million a concert. But when she comes back, now they need money. So what happens is they give them a reality TV show. And they pay them all of this money for the reality TV show. Now let me tell y'all something, I lived in Hollywood. The reality TV show is based upon a particular premise. And that is, after 3 days, the camera disappears. You ain't paying no attention to it no more. So you ain't hiding nothing. And what I'm saying to you is they used that reality TV show to break her down. But she had made her stand. Because single-handedly, she catapulted our visibility 50 years into the future. Had the Prince and everybody not worked on that. And so I'm saying that the reality of the development of this kingdom, there are a lot of players. There have been a lot of people involved that you don't even know. And as time goes on, we're going to give everybody their props, because they deserve it. And we have to tell these stories. So, in closing, one of the things I want to do before we close out, does anybody have any questions or comments? Okay. And Pastor, so we want you to come up and close us out with your divine sounds, your divine music, the minister of music for the new world. Bring that spirit.
Y'all like that beat? Y'all hear that? Come on, clap your hands then. Y'all like that beat? Think we can do something with that? That's it. I thought Hebrews liked drums. There's a song I wrote. Let's see if y'all can catch it. It's that time again. We're going to the feast of Yah. We're going to the feast of Yah. Come on. It's that time again. Yeah. We're going to the feast of Yah. We're going to the feast of Yah. It's that time again. We're going to the feast of Yah. We're going to the feast of Yah. We're going to the feast. We're going to the feast. We're going to the feast of Yahweh. Change it up. We're at the feast. We're at the feast of Yahweh. We're gonna have a good time. We're gonna have a good time. We're going to the feast of Yahweh. We're gonna have a good time. We're gonna have a good time. We're going to the feast of Yahweh. Everything is ready. Everything's been prepared. You've been invited. So come on in. Lay your burdens down. Come to the table. Table is spread. We've been invited by the King of Israel. Lay your burdens down. Come to the table. Table is spread. We've been invited by the King of Israel. Lay your burden down. Come to the table. Table is spread. We've been invited by the King of Israel. It's that time again. We're going to the feast of Yah. We're going to the feast of Yah. Hallelujah.
All hearts and minds are settled. This has been a wonderful Yom Kippur. Again, in the spirit of jovialness, happiness, and joy, we come in the spirit of joy, happiness, and jovialness. We part. And so, again, we thank you all for coming out and sharing your lives with us. And we pray that when we make that clarion call, that you come so we can get our instructions for building our new world. Okay? We're building our new world, so you can talk about it. So, Kali Sameach, Shabbat Shalom.
Say stuff.